this session, I'll be showing how an administrator creates a user with a chosen password. I'll be showing an administrator logging into their XSpectra user console, selecting the Create User task, entering the new user's profile information, choosing the user's password, and submitting the form. I'll show an end user receiving the email notifications from XSpectra with their username and temporary password. I'll be showing the end user logging in for the first time, entering a new password, selecting and entering the responses to their security questions, and submitting the changes. To create a new user, an administrator would first log into their XSpectra user console with their username and password. Upon reaching their page, they would then select on their Users tasks, expand their Manage Users menu, and select either the Create User or Create User with Generated Password. Today we'll be choosing the password for the user, so we'll be selecting the Create User task. Now an administrator can choose whether to create a brand new user or create a copy of a current user. So we're going to be creating a brand new user, and we'll click OK. On this page, the administrator would fill out the user's profile. They'd select first the organization, the user's ID, the password that we're going to choose for the user, check the box whether or not this user must change their password upon their first login, whether this account will be enabled immediately upon creation, the user's first name, last name, and email address, and other information about the user as well as the user type. Now I'm going to skip ahead so that all these fields will be filled in. I'm going to skip ahead and fill in all these fields. Alright, so all fields have been entered. And we'll scroll down to the next button to continue on to the next setting. So on this screen, an administrator can choose to give a user access immediately upon creation of their profile to particular groups, such as the help desk group or an administrators group. These groups will give the user immediate access to certain associated privileges and tasks with those groups. So say if a user is added to a help desk group, they'll be given access to reset a user's password or look up user's activity, as well as permissions to some other applications, such as a ticketing system. So for this demonstration, we're not going to be adding this user to any particular group. We'll click Finish, and this will complete the process of creating a user with a chosen password. So remember, I've entered a user's password for them, and I've selected the user must change their password upon their first login choice. So this password is only a temporary password, and it can only be used for the first login. So we'll click Finish and complete the process. Now XSpectra will generate 2 email notifications. Of course, these emails are customizable. They can be reflected to your organization. Best practice we recommend is 2 emails, one with the user's username and one with the user's temporary password. We receive a confirmation that the task has been completed, and we'll click OK. So now we'll log in to the user's email that we've just created to retrieve the user's temporary password and username. So we've logged into the user's email, and we can see that there are 2 emails from XSpectra waiting for the user. The first email lists the user's username with a notification that the temporary password will be sent in a separate email. We also have that separate email that has the user's temporary password, as well as a link to the login page. So we'll copy the user's password and click the link back to the login page. We landed back upon the XSpectra login page. We're going to enter this user's username and their temporary password. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I checked the box that this will force the user upon their first login to change their password. So as I mentioned, we are now prompted to enter a new password and to enter security questions and responses. Now these security questions are used in self-service tests if a user had ever forgotten their username or password. So I've entered a new password, and there's a password strength meter that notifies me if this password is a weak password or a strong password, depending on your password policy settings in XSpectra. Now, all these questions are configurable as well. They can be added to or removed or updated or modified. We'll choose a few of these questions and we'll enter some responses. Now, these responses are only responses that the user should know. And now we've entered all responses. So we've entered a new password and we've entered the user's security questions and responses. And we're going to click submit. Now this will save these responses on the new password and it will log the user into their account. So we're going to receive a confirmation that the task has been completed, which we've just received, and we'll click OK. Now we can redirect it into the user's login page. See, this user doesn't have any access yet. This user is not a member of any groups, doesn't have any immediate access. All access would need to be requested from this point or assigned to this user by an administrator. To review what I've demonstrated, I've shown an administrator logged into their XSpectra user console, selected the Create User task, entered the new user's profile information, chose a password for the user, and submitted the form. I've also shown an end user received the email notifications from XSpectra with their username and chosen password. The end user logged in for the first time, entered a new password, selected and entered the responses to their security questions, and submitted the changes. And that is how an administrator creates a user with a chosen password in XSpectra.